Hey guys, this is Allison from Alley Cat Creations. How are you? Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. If you get anything from my work, an epiphany, a mic drop, all of the above. A new author to read, a new book to just new book to read, a new author to look at. Please consider supporting my work. And I really want to thank everybody who has contributed to helping me with my move, to feeding me and keeping me alive. It's very important. Especially at this time, as always. The energies are heavy. There's a lot going on. Rainbow Masters, Phoenix Journal, one of my favorites. Chapter 22, Recording 1, Lady Nada, Tuesday, April 25th, 1989, 6 a.m., Year 2, Day 252. Good morning, Dharma, and it is a good morning. I know, child, ye had of great revelations in thy night, and they have returned with you. As we all have accepted responsibility, it has been a heavy load under which we chafe and squirm. When thee know thyself, it takes a while to come into balance. So let it be at rest for a time of digestion. I am Lady Nada of the Sixth Ray, the Kohan, if you will, the bringer of truth of communications on soul levels and nurturing, ministering, and service. I come most closely wrapped in the robes of violet and gold from my close association with Germain and Master Insu, Jesus. You of the flock will need of my experience and lessons, whether ye be masculine or feminine. I, too, had to learn the path of love with the great ascended masters. I also learned that everyone who goes forth to serve has moments of self-doubt or thinks that after all their efforts, their works are not too good, or that no one will want them or believe them, or that no one will appreciate of their talent. There is a moment of total self-blindness when an individual may actually make a choice not to go forward with their accepted work. This is very difficult impact on those ones who have depended upon that one to fulfill his or her task. The days grow short upon thy place as ye know it. Ye are in the days of decisions and action. These are days when ye must stand strong, lest ye be pulled down. Ye ones have just been served from any income resources. The sustaining funds have ceased. What will ye do? Oh, I see, and I thank you, brethren. Ye will just go on, and ye will trust of us to show thee that way. So be it, for as ye release it unto us, it is done. Do not despair, for the plan is yet in unfoldment. It serves ye ones well to remember thy talent in serving as the mother, the nurturing nature of mother creation, which abides within all beings, male or female. For there is no difference in the realms of higher understanding, no difference. For on the magnificent levels, there is total balance, total harmony of flow and integration. Only our thrust is in difference, that all facets of experience can be best utilized. It is what the wondrous flaming heart of the mother embodied in the friend, the loved one, the ministering one that provides that help, when the individual himself must give all strength and energy, all of his drive to the making of the mark at the precise moment. Therefore, even the Christ on the represented 14 stations of the cross still had the balance of the mother, holding the flame of watchfulness, of encouragement, of beauty, and of the divine memory of the end that is known from the beginning. Very interesting there. Repetition. Please understand that even the rotations of the planets, the movements of the stars in their course are perpetual example, reinforcement subconsciously that all of life is in the ritual of ministration, and that the repetition of ministering is the necessity and the beauty of Christ appearing. As you come to see the need for the daily service to be repeated without fail each and every day, as with you and your receiving Dharma and the sharing in any of all of your occupations, you move from the mastery of individual Christhood on the sixth ray into and onto the full mastery of the seventh ray. You will find thyself in repetition upon repetition. You will find yourself saying, I have told this person over and over, not once, but many times over, and still they move against the principle of this law. Well, this allows they to see beloved ones. That is the obvious need for continued ministration. It is like the watering of the flowers, the garden. The rain comes and they come again into growth, and the elementals do not complain that they have given water only yesterday. We who come as teachers often forget there are things we all need on a daily basis. And yet when it comes to the teachings of the sacred precepts of the law, we think somehow either in ignorance or in pride that if we have been given our teaching, our word ought to be enacted. Further, it is not enacted. Well, it is too bad for the individual. They had their chance. If the angels took this attitude, I dare say that none of you would have a ministering angel today. For you have been ministered unto for 10,000s of years. So you see, when it is oneself, it is easy to understand that one may need comfort and need it again and again in the giving to another. However, you think, why is this person always needing comfort when God is obviously so always present? Well, that God needs to be obviously present in you. In turn, it is obvious, or should be to you, that the individual cannot see God or understand his comforts unless you bring it personally. Therefore, in your perception of others' needs, you must put on your Godhood instead of your perception of your own needs, and become the balance which keeps on and keeps on. We, the Kohans, therefore, observe. We allow souls of light to pursue the path in this way for many years, for we know the end must come soon. When they have finally magnetized everything that could think of under the sun and realize that their souls are still empty and there is still that longing for the lost chord, they may come to the realization that it is not the use of the path for getting unto oneself, but the use of the path in order to supply the needs of others in the highest application. Arrival at truth. You have truly arrived when you have no needs or wants, and you think to yourself, quote, how rich I am in the wisdom of God, his glory and his love, end quote. Further, when someone might ask what ye would need or prefer as a gift, etc., ye can think of nothing with which to respond. You have all the needs for perfection within. For many along the path, they consider the mark of attainment to be the fullness of health, wealth, and happiness. For them, these are their standards of spirituality. Well, dear ones, some of the most spiritual people in the world are so bearing the burdens of life that they must be in abject poverty. They may have nothing. They may be burdened with incurable disease. They may be bowed down with the sorts of problems. And those who point the finger and condemn or judge are the very ones who need attainment on the sixth right of ministration and service. If they would run to the aid of that one, they would discover in themselves a lack of the one great gift the individual possesses, love. Love that replaces fear. Love within the heart that is content to bear the burden of others. Love within the heart that trusts God in the hour of adversity. Love that does not complain simply because all things are not in the fullness of the richness of Western civilization. As the dream of this West are created out of the images of opulence, luxuriousness, unending food, etc. Do not misunderstand and assume that if these things are present, it is less than wondrous. It is inner satisfaction and balance of which I speak, not things. Things are nice to have if they can maintain balance and the necessary ability to release without care or pain. The things of matter and comfort, if ye can let them go, ye have made it. If you can let them go if necessary, you will have gained grand entry into the kingdom. It is thy willingness within which is the key to the door of greatness. I am come in the flow and the rhythm of God is love that moves across eternity in undulations of sound, calling the souls of all evolutions in the stellar worlds home to the great heart of God. The great summoning of life is for souls who have evolved in the outer realms of time and space to return to the center of being that is awareness, that is truth, that is life. Man must go within, for the souls of mankind are tired of evolution in darkness and chaos. Souls have not built the great amphitheater of life, where the great drama can be outplayed in nobility after the image and likeness of the Christed ones. Therefore, the weariness of the soul is not in outer manifestation, but the weariness of the soul is in the outer manifestation that is not whole, that is not complete because of wrong sowing and wrong knowing. Mankind have not known the truth that should make them free, but they have known the lie and have been condemned by that lie. Thus, the weariness of the ways of the flesh, the experimentation with the uses of the sacred fires, that is inordinate in the sight of God. I come as a cosmic mother and as a member of the higher realms to draw the tired, the poor, the weary, those who have been burdened by the world and have not remembered the words of the Prince of Peace. My burden is light. For every burden you carry, precious ones, can be changed in the twinkling of an eye into light and light's manifestation, light's toleration of itself. Light is infinite, and thus the starry light that portends an infinite cosmos waiting to be received, waiting to be filled with the fruits of the harvest of souls, can be seen, can be known, can be experienced by souls who will come within the inner being, into the chamber of the heart place. When you come into the stillness and you begin to meditate upon God, become one with thy Godness, you will first be moved and stirred by the regular beat of God's heart. In that beat is the pattern of the release of energy for a cosmos, a rose, a seed, a soul. It is the regular advancing rhythm of energy spiraling from a fiery core to the circumference of an inherent design. When you come into the center of the heart and meditate upon these concepts, you will at first wonder at the grandness of God's beingness. By and by, as you think upon these things and that being, you will come to realize that you are thinking upon your very own being, your very own life, for God is life. In fact, Sheilas, God and life are synonymous. Truth. I am. The sounding of the greatest tone, which marks the birth of the soul, is a mystical awareness of identity as the I am that I am. Further, that which I am is God. And that which I am is the soul when you say, I am that I am. When God then speaks, he is saying, I am that soul. I am that awareness of self. I am that I am. When the soul speaks in the first person, echoing the words of the Creator, the soul declares, I am. Then, as the energies flow from the spirit to the soul, from the soul to the spirit, from God to man, from man to God. Who can say at what point God is becoming man, man is becoming God? Who can say at what point there is the vortex of the interchange where God is man and man is God? Therefore, I am that I am, for the law of the one, the Alpha is become the Omega, the beginning and the end, and the Omega is become the Alpha. The end has become the start. The cycle infinite. This is the sacred circle closed within the Christness of self and oneness with all. Being is one, life is one, but there is a divinity of polarity which manifests in order that God might have subjective awareness of self, and that man might have an objective awareness of self, that God might have an objective awareness of self, that man might have a subjective awareness of self. Thus, in the flow of life, transcending life, all being is indeed one. There's nothing more that I could ever say, because I say the same thing on a constant basis. As you contemplate this great mystery in the center of God's selves, heart gathering more of the flame of spirit into the soul, you reach a point in meditation in oneness where you might say your soul could burst with the fervor of the divine light. Then comes the great and wondrous desire to burst forth as a bud would in springtime, as a blossom on a plant, as a leaf on a tree, and as a wondrous bird flying from the nest, a fledgling ready to experience life. At some point, you must release those energies that have been winding tighter and tighter within. The spring must at some point be released. The energy must be allowed expansion and spirals must go forth. The cycles must be released, for cycles creates the identity of God. Man's awareness spins from the center to the periphery of God's cosmic consciousness. Man's whereabouts in time and space are limited only by his use or misuse of energy. Using energy wisely and well, man transcends finite spheres and blends his consciousness into oneness, allness. I am he, I am thou, I am they, I am me, I am brotherhood. Success through brotherhood. Brotherhood is the union of souls who have gone forth from the center of beingness. All beings who have identified with God throughout the ages are connected. It is through this brotherhood that we shall accomplish this wondrous transition which is coming. There is much speculation upon these matters. The prophecies have been made from the beginning of time upon thy place. The cycles explore and predict. So be it, Chelas. For it is coming to be thy present time. We are connected directly to your energy flow at this sequence point. I in the Pleiades, you upon the planet of dense compression. You know within, however, that thy brotherhood stretches as our oneness spans time and space. Let us remain ever within the violet flame which holds us bound as one in service, that the transmutation which should, and some will call the rapture, or the translation might pass smoothly, and the tribulation be surmounted by the ones of the Master's fold. Atan will give thee what ye need to understand and know of all these things. Thy time is at hand. Allow it to be a wondrous adventure, beloved ones. You shall be meeting us most quickly within the limits of the cosmos, for we shall come from the clouds to enfold thee in infinite love and service. I am that I am, Nada. I've been saying this. Everything there, been saying it. As if I'm just channeling from them. Just so again, these are validating things for me that I'm not on the wrong in saying these things. This was said when I was in kindergarten. And again, we're all fractals of each other and God. I'm an expression of what you're not. Right? I self-express differently from most people, but that's okay because that's how God wanted me, vehicle, human, to experience this life for hers, better acknowledgement of what goes on in this world. The same with all of you. We all arrange our agreements to come here in this school, so Source knows itself through a third density vehicle, in a third density simulation, in an arranged amount of people that come together as a tribe, and the people that are acknowledging the fact that they are of Source, they are Source, they're fractals of each other. There's oneness, the law of one, and understanding and understanding and comprehending, we'll be better off. Just saying. Chapter 23, recording 1, Germain. Wednesday, April 26th, 1989, 6 a.m., year 2, day 253. Lessons for the scribe. Germain here in the mighty I am presence. Hear me, little one. Here, not there, or somewhere else. Here. I simply exist in higher vibrations than you can easily visualize. You can hear even my heartbeat if ye but listen. You easily hear my electronic signals on thy circuits. So be it, indeed, so be it. I hear you. I walk with you, and I work with you and my chelas. The difference in you and others who follow my teachings is that you have bitten off great bunches, more than most. Ye ones have chosen to keep at learning, working, and building in the brilliance of all the rays of the mighty presence. The total light. I am humble in thy presence. Thee too are the saints and masters, beloved ones. Man has simply misused the words. In the age times, saint was simply one of the master's faithful chelas. It had naught to do with the club's voting for favors. Church is the body of the master. If you follow my teachings, you are the church of the seventh ray. It had nothing to do with a brick in building. Am I immortal? Yeah, and so are thee. I am grand and wondrous, for I am all. So are thee. But I work diligently, for my lessons are always before me, just as with thee. I am totally humbled in the presence of the lightened one, who has mastered all his lessons, and yet he bends his knee before that which I am, and I can accept of it, for it is God, to whom we give honor and respect. One day ye will see of it all, and not ponder at such lengths. Ah, Dharma, thy lessons have been hard. Hatan and I have caused thee to mind of thee scribing, with things thee would not expect from higher dimensions. Well, chelas, ye ones must not temper nor clean up of our messages. Ye must clear of thy space and write what we give. No more, no less. We are in appreciation if you will correct of our commas and spelling. It has been kind and necessary to have share of thy training, Sheila, for one's need to know how it is. Things for publication will bear our equality through thoughtful and perfect input. It has not only been necessary to see how you would receive and pass along writings, but also we must see in what manner the writings are received by different energies. Ones are most set in their ways upon thy place, receiving and accepting only those things within their individual ability to receive or express. My teachings have been most absurd, abused, amused, and too often worshipped. 'Tis a negative thing to worship, for that is reserved for the totality of perfection, God. You can get away with it with Ensu Sananda, for he is one with the Father in level of perfection. You will know I am referred to as Master, Lord, Saint, and many other things. I am not called Christ. I am one with the Christos. I am not achieved to a level of perfection to be Christ. The level of disease upon thy place allows both me and thee to grow and earn our passage. Let us be never most humble and grateful for the allowed experience, and may always do of our job with honor and perfection, that we might earn of our rank. There you are, here I am, in the heart of infinity. Here where the divine spark is, infinity. Therefore, blessed ones, I greet you as the infinite one and as infinite ones. 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, ever the infinite one. It's true. See from the heart. Let the great and sacred circle of our oneness and our love cancel out all division, all misunderstanding, all ignorance, and every false testimony, as in the case of blind men and the elephant, all giving varied reports of the same spectacle, but never arriving at the point of what was beneath their senses. The eyes that see are only a mirror of what thy heart and soul sees. Always look with the eyes from the perspective of thy heart. I call your attention to the point for center in your heart, which is becoming my heart day by day. You see all things as they are, for the true perspective of wisdom, and anointed with love, and fired with the will to be all the God is, blessed with purity of thy mother. What else can there be out of this than the crystal prism? Behold, I make all things new by the flame of the heart, by the vision of the heart, by the wisdom of the heart. And that is the endless stream of the effort and endless source. Oh, my beloved ones, I come and I am joyous to be here, joyous to bask in the light of thy own hearts. I see your perspective, for instance, of freedom, and I come therefore to give unto you another. May you pass every test, precious Chilas. May you pass every test. Beloved ones, the reward of love is great. However, those who deserve it often do not receive it, because they are the ones, the busy ones, working and serving. They often do not take of the time to be quiet and receive it. It is most important to allow receiving. Always be at work to enlarge thy aura of light, that ye can be in abundant receiving. The means is not the goal, but the ends is the star itself appearing. Therefore, let us not allow our ways and means to compromise the goal, or to cause us to tarry or lose the sight of the goal. However, most surely you must utilize every tool at thy disposal, or ye will never move forward. You will be trapped by the very laws and actions of those who control thee. You must use of the higher intelligence and use tools hidden for their own advantage, not unlawfully, nor with immortality, but use the tools brought to you for the wondrous mission. Ye are working within the arena of man, and there is no place for miracles. Yes, be shot in thy beds. Use the tools of man to thy ability, that ability that we can be in the achieving of the mandatory goals, so be it. Hi, kitty cat. Morgan's giving me kisses. God in you is able. God is able. But do not, I pray you, adorn the human self, which the immortal is. As the grass or the flowers, it is here today and then gone. The mighty tire and the wind sweep through, and it is no more. Beloved ones, the course of perfecting the human is not the way. It is not the way of overcoming. Thus, if you are interested in perfecting, you can right now drop that pride in your human self. Drop it on the floor as an old garment. Throw it away. It is but an old, oily, torn undershirt. They have worn far too long. Beloved one, the messenger does gaze upon the end, rejoices in the victories, and yet I oftentimes wonder and muse why, through all of the teachings given, yet you hang on to the super callous consciousness of the human self. Well, so be it. Beloved ones, I come therefore to deliver this message in consolation with my brethren and in the guidance of the master teacher, to pierce now the veil in your belief in yourself as mortals. This is my God determination that this is God's will. And I am here in the full force of hierarchy to wipe from the very screen of life the loads of mortality itself. So be it. This is the same law that sustains the dark consciousness. You once had petitioned to be relieved of this darkness and this darkened consciousness. Then I petition thee, be done with it. We are free spirits. We are free spirits. You do not have to wait until the hour of physical death, so called, to know eternal life. You are eternal here and now. This place is your eternal abode, and I speak not of finite coordinates, but of this place as the point of the eye of the mind of God, the seat of thy consciousness. Come into the awareness of God within. Feel of it. The awareness of God in yourself is something above and beyond the form, yet it registers within and upon the form. Therefore, now let us roll up our sleeves and go to work. May you pass every test. Maintain control. Beloved Sheilas, how do we begin? Well, you ones have already moved far along, but I will remain here and will remind thee. Ye must learn to maintain that God control that allows for the rhythm of God to restore balance before the human reaction out of fear or anger or that tottering of off balance. The components are there in the dictions, the lessons given, and ye once have had thy lessons from the best there is. Ye had thy lessons handed down from the highest source there is. Ye have sat in session with God. This does not mean ye are always in perfection. Ye are human. It does not mean, however, that if ye follow thy learnings, ye will be able always to reign of thy balance when the normal flow of the aura has been disturbed. Ye will respond with thoughtful balance, and through so doing, ye will prevail whatever the circumstance going on about thee. Ye must always be the calm voice and presence in the vortex of creativity and comedy, and learn the way of the power, the immense power of peace itself. Peace comes from demanding of its presence. Call upon thy flame of violet. Transmutation, use of the alchemy at hand and at thy disposal in all of thy needs and actions. Use it, use it, use it. It is there for thy use. Use all the blue flame of Michael. Put up thy wall of blue flame. Then you have the power of the tube of light. Further, if in thy circumstance diplomacy does not work, there is always the strength of the shield of Archangel Michael at thy disposal. In the sweetness of my light, I am come. Often, Sheilas, it is simply a matter of stance. How do you hold yourself? Are you in the readiness for the next delivery of God, or thrust of the sinners and the sinister force? Or are you, as they say these days, laid back? If you are laid back, wide open, lounging around the TV set and it is blasting, the ads are bombarding their rock beat, the music, video is blasting, the cat meowing, the dog barking, children are screaming, the phone is ringing. How do you expect then to keep your cool? It is a setup, but you have set it up. Beloved ones, do not allow of it. It is a matter of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are requirements. Do not allow all of these things to be taking place at once in thy environment. You could feed the cat, quiet the dog, turn off the TV, quiet the children, or plug the ears until thee gets them under thy control. It is called discipline. It is education. Discipline, education of self and then of others. Example, taking the point of education, the education is of your soul, and by your example, the education of others. Avoid that which is controversial. You know when you can start of a terrific argument. You even are in the enjoying of such by thy children do not have experience to discern difference. They can only learn to shout and hit and destroy through example. If they are quiet and listen, they will learn to quiet themselves and listen. They learn it from discipline, not abuse or striking of their bodies, discipline. If thee turns off the TV, they are headed into the right course, so be it. Whenever there is agreement in principle of God, a nucleus is formed, a bond of love. That bond of love actually begins to consume the area of disagreement and error, which may be in the mind of yourself or others. For we ourselves must see our own misconceptions. There are times you cause, by word or action, great pain and grief through the negative clouds of pessimism, criticism, and clamoring to have of thy way. On other occasion, by doing what you know so well how to do, everyone has come away feeling loved, satisfied, and important. O Chilas, the cardinal mind takes pride in itself, in its ability to control and hurt and put down to the best another, and to rise and puff up as the puffing up of a snake's pufffish. Beloved ones, assume that those who come to you are injured and maimed and scarred, for they are. They have been in many battles of life. If you find them difficult or thick-skinned, it is a defense mechanism they have set up for a very deep hurt. Heal the hurt, not in such an obvious manner as self-proclaiming oneself as the healer, but simply do it in the quietness of your heart. Pray, do not pray. That which is going on within thy heart will be reflected outward and can be accepted by another at a pure level of mind and understanding. It is true, beloved ones, much of the hurt, much of the cruelty expressed in the world today is the means of the individual wrapping up again and again the old wound with sharpness. And thus it becomes a very important point of the law to apply to Almighty God for the healing of one's soul, of the need to be aggressive towards any part of life. You see, mortals have these needs. Humans may have them. for both are without the divine spark. But the sons and daughters of God, the children of light, have no need to partake in the world's fare of psychology, just as you do not partake the food that is served in some quarters. You have transcended the need for such intake. Much of the cause of your failure of many tests is that you have not stopped to rid yourself of the human habit of express that aggravation. All the negative actions are coming from the need of the carnal mind to assert itself. It is not real. It has no power to dominate your personality. I speak directly to you and all of you, whereof I speak. You compromise yourself by your inappropriate use of the free will choices. Errors. Understand the law I reveal unto you, sin, and how I wish for a better word, can only be committed in a finite consciousness or in the finiteness of time and space. The moment sin is conceived, the conceiver of the sin is no longer part of eternity. He will place upon his own head a price for the error in free will choices. When Michael cast out the fallen ones from heaven, he was ratifying the law of their own being, which they set in motion by the spirit of pride. I will become God. I will not worship a living Christ, but I will be worshipped. This was their vow. Instantaneously, they lost the protection of the circle of one. Thus, in casting them out, Archangel Michael and his legions were the instantaneous representatives of cosmic law. But each time you deliberately act in sin, you lose the protection of the spirit of the great white brotherhood. I have inference on this. When you do not act in human sin, when an idea becomes so impelling that you fulfill it and commit some sin, remember that you are creating bonds of limitations that will eventually turn upon itself in forms of disease, death, etc. The law is just. May the just man always use the law in perfection with wisdom to their advantage, which advantage ought to be liberation of the light of the heart, which will ensure you great gain in all octaves. Tend to your intent. Therefore, as we move forward in our works, take care of thy intent. Let us quell the subtle vibration of ambition, which you do not fully recognize, and therefore I admonish you to pay attention. Clear of thy space, and then look at what ye do in light. Ambition in itself is a hideous ego monster, tricking you all the way to trust the human consciousness instead of to get God first. In getting him, to find cornucopia of treasure, wisdom, abundance, light, and divine love ever flowing. Know, Chelas, that all desires of the human that you may have in the world can be surrendered. When they are surrendered, the divine desiring of God comes into your life. Since the God dwells within self, who benefits? So. To move with us along our path, there are things which must be overcome in thy personalities of desire. If you would retain, for instance, the desire to control others, a very prevalent desire in the human, the desire to have those things that are not ordained, and on, but you desire to give up only those things that make you sick and uncomfortable, you will be walking upon a tightrope of human consciousness, trying to make the best of it all, and to leave the worst, and yet not really willing to forsake the totality of it all, or the whole ball of wax, as you might say. It is precarious position, and I only admonish, for you will have free will. Every experience in life can be transmuted and transcended to become a divine experience, though physical, though actual, though down to earth, though a part of what that truly golden age consciousness could be. It is not wrong to desire happiness, to desire thy own fulfillment or education or God's success. Truly no thing will withhold from thee when you use legitimate means of arriving at thy goal. Fear binds. Fear is what binds you to the alternative path and method. Thus I say, drop those fears. Let God show you how happy you can be in the fullness of his love, how you can have all these things in the fullness, how you can have these things in the highest sense, glorify his name, past the human consciousness through the transmuting flame, and still retain an individuality, which is happy, joyous, hardworking, ever learning, striving, and a joy to be with, because you will be the one who unlocks the mysteries for others. The mystery of happiness itself, written all over thy countenance, can be divined by those who meet you by watching how ye live. Cease from toying with the idea of unreality. Cease from the idea that you have ever been enslaved. The slaves of death must live in a consciousness of death. Let us remove the octave of the consciousness of death. Let us remove that plane. Let us cease the pains of flesh that tell thee you are in an act of death reality. If it ceases to be this plane, you will cease to be. Question mark. Astral plane cancellation. Take the plane for existence, nothing permanent, nothing reliable, all illusion. Endless exploration of matter scenes that are changing, like a kaleidoscope entertaining for an infinity that is an imitation of the real infinity. The labyrinth of the human consciousness may dwell in it. As for me and in my life, I long ago canceled it out and have suffered no loss, for I had long before consumed and replaced astral debris with the victory of the Christ circle of consciousness. God does not cancel out the astral plane because of a part of each of you is still there. Records of the past, a sense of life expectancies, and insurance policies of actualities and possibilities. And when I die, this will happen. You see, beloved ones, people actually consider themselves evolving towards death, moving ever closer to a final experience, which they dread with their whole life being. We were to cancel out the plane astral for them. So much of them would cease to be. There would be nothing left that could transmute and that could rise and could take dominion over it. Thus, the only place where the consciousness of death and astral plane can be canceled out is in the point of the will of the Chela in this octave. Only you can decide. It is no more. I shall reap no more about any human experience. That is, in the sense of self-pity or condemnation. For the tear that is shed with joy and compassion is not the weeping of the weeping entity. When you decide it is done, and you decide with the full power of your I am presence, that you are willing to wrestle with old momentum and not allow the beast to rise from the dead at any time, when you will plunge the sword of the word and the spoken word into it, when you will wrestle with every temptation to breathe out upon it the breath of life again and take it up again. I tell you, beloved ones, so many angels will come to reinforce and deter with the determination of the sons and daughters of God to be free. Pride in the fall. Cosmic reinforcements are waiting. You must not be discouraged and say, quote, this is the way I am, and God will have to take me that way I am, end quote. Well, beloved ones, no louder voice did pride ever have looming and glaring at the soul that has been silenced by the heavy tread of the boot of those who are the self-proclaimed independent ones, not realizing they have been signed by Lucifer himself. For he is the one who said, I am who I am. I am more important than the Son of God, and God will have ordained his sons worship me, else I will rebel. God will have to take me as I am. I see fault in that, but I'm not going to point that out. Sheila, is the problem we have today in our circles is that there is not much further down that anyone can be cast into this day and age than to walk the physical octave. Therefore, though you think the angel has not bound you and removed you from God's glory by your defiance, it is the fact already happened. So be it. Look very, very carefully. Chain of help. Accept of thy chain of being. Ye are a part of the eternal chain of God. The higher helps the lower. As you accept help in humility, you can extend help. If you do not receive from the one above, you cannot give to the one below. You, whose progress is utterly stopped because you yourself have stopped. Once again, pride. Some do not like to think they are dependent upon others. Learn to be receivers of our grace and the grace of Sheila, for whom you have perhaps had disdained. For the prayers of that one who you think to be beneath you may be the salvation of thy soul. Let God take care of the human and not create a false hierarchy in your mind, a panoply of all persons who know, some who have judged to be on the lowest in your system. Then ye will seek the company of those whom you think to be the important people, who somehow add to their stature. This is a failing test, and it leads to the great debacle as the house comes tumbling down, which you have built through establishing contract associations, being part of an illusionary society, etc. Think carefully where you fit. One day the world must always turn against the living Christ. I do not think that any among you would consciously turn down the light of your Christ consciousness to be accepted by men. Yet some of you do this unconsciously to avoid the challenge of the hurt or the public criticism. Beloved ones, you can only go so far with this little game as you fit yourself in and out of society's cliques. Sooner or later, they will make demands upon you, and you will realize that you're just compromised your soul and your relationship to be popular with some earth human energy. Think about it. The tests are lost because of the absence of forethought, of looking objectively at a situation as though you were on the ceiling looking down upon thyself. How do you really wish to figure in this configuration? Take care, blessed ones. You do not have to consume the entire apple tree at one sitting. Eat perhaps an apple or two daily. Take each problem and solve of it. This is my crash course in passing of thy tests. All the answers are made available unto thee. Ask and ye shall be given. Seek and ye shall find. Remember, ye will make it. I have written long, Dharma, had dread my visit, for she knew it would be long. So be it. Ye are my beloved ones. I leave you with one of my pearls. When ye want to be like God, you shall be. I thank you for your kind attention. Our paths will be together, and my joy is great. I place my violet seal upon these thoughts, and may they find their place within thy hearts. I am that I am, the mighty. I am presence. I am Germain of the seventh ray of the violet flame in thy service, and in thy service to this wondrous emerald. I salute you as brethren. It is done. Wow. Was long. Worth it. And interestingly enough, spirit sinks again, because in my own paradigm, with what I've been given in the last few days and the things that have been coming forth to me, trying to be an objective person, trying to look at all sides of stories that are coming in, people aren't breaking things into Okay. You're not seeing everything as a whole totality of a picture. You're only sectionalizing things. Everything that was just said popped into my paradigm. Can't make this shit up. Can't. We all need to take a step back, and we really need to think about the God within and how we need to react and to deal with other people. We have to come into unity. And at this stage of the game, we're past the I am presence. It's about the unity consciousness. It's about the truth consciousness. It's about unifying and coming together. We can't do that if everybody's stuck on the I. We're moving past this. Again, this was in 1989, and now our consciousness are moving. Things are moving, but there's still solid things in there that we need to take away from. And when it comes to a lot of the, what I say, I don't, there's a few things there that I don't resonate with because I don't see the rebellion per se negative. I see it as something different. And I'll leave it at that because I don't want to complicate things or distort people's visions of what that rebellion was. We weren't there, number one. Many of us were, but most weren't. Anywho, sending each and every one of you love and light. Please be safe, be seen, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye, guys.